If you actually watch the video of the Irish bloodbath, you can see once I throw the chair down, I told O'Toole in the back, I was like, we need to make this as real as possible. So I was decking him in the face. Like you can see the punches. If you watch closely, you can see what a wrestling punch is and what a real punch is. And I'm tagging him in the temple. And I was supposed to hit him like, I think it was supposed to be like 8 or 9 times. Then after the 4th one, he just whispers to me, he goes, I'm gonna block it. So he blocks and he tags me back. But when he hits me, he slips on the blood and falls down. And I just rear back and kick him right in the face. Boom, kick him as hard as I can. And just, like I go to town on him. He finally gets back up and he just starts wailing away at me, like punching me in the face. And you can see it hits me, and I fall down, I hit the mat, and the blood just splatters everywhere again, and people are getting up. You can hear people like in the background going, oh, it's everywhere. And like it really was. You can see the pictures online. There was puddles of blood on the floor. There's actually a picture of him where he's on his hands, and it looked like a faucet of blood coming down from his face. And I think there was like at one point where I looked down and I was like, this is a lot of blood.
I'll be honest, the reason I started going to PWE was because Rob took pictures of that match, and I saw that match and I said, oh, there's gonna be some sort of receipt, and I want to go see that.
Rob took, I didn't mean to cut you off, Snowman, but there's a picture of Rob took backstage where it looks like I'm licking the blood off my hands, and I get slack about that all the time. People are like, oh, it's fucking gross that you lick your hand, but actually if you look at it, my hand is like this far from my face. It's optical illusion, it's movie magic. When you first proposed doing the Rise and Fall of Pro Wrestling Eclipse DVD, I was really opposed to it, only because like I know how hardcore of an ECW fan you are, and I'm the same way. And it kind of, well, it really upsets me when people make the comparison of Pro Wrestling Eclipse to ECW, because that would mean by default it would make Marvel Paul Heyman, and it's legitimately a slap in the face to make that comparison. As a person, I have nothing against Martin. I think Martin has a lot of problems that he needs to sort out, but professionally, I have no respect for him whatsoever. He was lazy. He gets credit for a lot of things that other people took care of. I'm very opinionated in wrestling, and wrestling is what I do. Like wrestling is me. Like it defines who I am. So I was always throwing out ideas and everything. And again, I'm not one to suck my own dick, but like the bloodbath idea was mine. The feudable tool was mine. My feud of Bobby was my idea. Actually, a lot of the stuff that went on was my idea. Everything I did at Eclipse was me. Like, and I guess I don't know if it's a lot of people are gonna frown upon the fact to let the inmates run the asylum, but I like to think that I made a lot of waves at Eclipse, and this will open up the door for me to do vintage wrestling and ACW and now ASW. But one of the things that was wrong with Eclipse was Martin. Martin didn't know how to take the helm, and ultimately he let a lot of people dip their hands into it. And it's not necessarily like people are gonna point the finger at MSL and Sean Davis and all the Believe talent that came in, but it's like it wasn't just that, but also it wasn't not them. You know, it was them and it wasn't them. It was a lot of things that Martin just didn't know how to put his foot down. Letting a lot of the talent do things that just didn't make sense. He just became lazy. He would just show up and take the walkie-talkie and that's it. And things would be in shambles. I wasn't a fan of when they put the belt on Josh Reign, only because I felt it was too early. And I know a lot of people put him up on a pedestal as being underrated or one of the best up-and-comers in Florida, and I personally don't think he's at that point yet. I love Josh to death, and I love working with Josh, but sometimes it seems like he doesn't listen to the people he should be listening to and soaking in the information. That's the problem with a lot of the kids that get too much praise too early. I guess that's one of the things I should be thankful for, is that I got shit on a lot when I first started not only managing but wrestling. People said that I didn't have the look and that my play should be outside the ring and stuff, so it really made me strive to learn and improve. Whereas Josh is so early, you know, so young into his career, and a lot of people sing his praises, and I think he listens to that more than the criticism that he should be listening to. And it seemed like the hybrid division was revolved a lot around him, where I think the hybrid division should have been more about guys like Jason Sane and Aaron Epic and Jude McKenzie, even though Jude has his ups and downs with his ring work and stuff. I love the concept of the hybrid title, and some of the matches that came out of it were, the fans loved them. I wasn't a big fan of some of it because I think the work looked too anticipated. But overall, I think the hybrid division was a good idea. I also like the ultraviolet title, but I didn't agree with the fact that ultraviolet meant hardcore. I think ultraviolet should have meant ultraviolence, guys that worked a strong style or a faster pace or a more realistic pace. You know, I think I've proven the fact that you can make a clothesline look just as vicious as stabbing someone in the head with a fork. You know, anyone can pick up a fork and stab a guy, anyone can hit a guy with a chair, but if you punch a guy in the face and make it look like you knocked him out, that to me is what ultraviolet should have been about. And hybrid is exactly what it stands for, a hybrid, a mixture of styles. Put someone in like I think one of my favorite matches that I had at Eclipse was me and Jason Sane, and that was actually going back to the ring. Two of the boards in the middle of the ring had broken, so we had to bump around the middle of the ring, and anybody that's been trained knows that the softest spot of the ring is in the middle. But that was death that night, bumping like in the corners and by the ropes and stuff. But the mixture of styles, like not only the big man, little man dynamic, but he worked a very cruiserweight X Division style, and I work a more slow, strong style. I guess I hate that term, but more realistic style, so to speak, and slower. And I think that's one of the things people liked about Eclipse was that they were used to seeing the same guys in Florida, and everybody likes to cheer for the underdog, and Eclipse was the underdog. I just think that the praises should be sung more towards the guys that worked it, and not Eclipse as a whole, because the building was terrible. It was awful. Joe Bob. I'm torn between the good things and bad things about Joe Bob, because Joe Bob was always nice to me, and he always really appreciated my work. But when it came down to, hey Bob, we need this done to improve the quality here, he just passed it off and didn't really, just brushed it off. Same with Martin. When it came, I was on Martin's ass to put stuff online, to put his foot down about locker room etiquette and getting the guys to stop complaining about losing or not getting enough time and stuff, and he never did it. And that's why I think the praises should be sung to the people that, like people like Eric Cooper and people like Aaron Epic and stuff, that were actually, put their asses on the line and made Eclipse get talked about, and not just Pros and Eclipse as an entity, Okay.
Any other words? I got about 20 minutes, so I mean, I've got plenty of footage, so anything else?
One of the things I know people were really disappointed about, and it's just the people that I talk to, because I hear a lot of people talk about the stuff that happened on the shows, like people like you and stuff that were really passionate about it. And one of the things that really pissed me off and disappointed me was the whole thing with Bobby and I, because Bobby and I had a great feud going on, and people talked about the feud outside of Eclipse, and we actually got to do stuff in other promotions that made it real. Like Bobby and I, were legitimately feuding, and we did the tag team battle royal where the last two people won the tag titles, and it ended up being Bobby and I won the Eclipse tag titles from the Gangsters and other powers that be. I'm not even sure whose idea it was. I just remember it was an idea that was proposed and it went through. Bobby and I won the tag titles, and then we lost them within 5 minutes of winning them, and completely ended whatever we were doing. We never had a blow-off match. And again, just a lot of stuff got wasted because people didn't know how to put their foot down, and people didn't know what they were doing, and you shouldn't leave, people should just leave well enough alone, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it was just a matter of other people coming in that didn't know what the product that was going on. Either they didn't know or they didn't care, I don't know. I'm not one to speculate, I just know what happened, and people weren't happy with it. Bobby and I had a great feud going on. It's a shame that we never had to, bring that to a head and stuff. And people still talk about it now. People talk about, how great of a feud it was, and it was, one of the best feuds of 2009 and stuff. And that's cool to hear people say that. Same thing with the Bloodbath. So I just think it's funny that this time last year I was striving to get recognition as a manager, and now I'm getting recognition as an underrated wrestler, and I don't know. It's good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.